I tried to warn my mom. I begged her, please, do not take a loan out for our sister. She doesn't need this lavish wedding. To be honest, she cannot be trusted. Well, guys, guess what my mother did? I've been lurking for some time, and while the situation I'm about to describe has been brewing for a bit, I finally have enough info to present it here and get your suggestions. Really desperate for any advice possible. I do apologize for this wall of text though. As the title states, my sister got married to the tune of $250,000. The aftermath of the wedding was a drama of tears, fights, and, well, acrimony over who the hell was going to pay for it. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Let me preface with the fact that I'm 38, male, and I have a wonderful relationship with my mom and my sister, which is part of why this is especially upsetting to me. I'm an orthopedic surgeon specializing in joint replacement. My wife and I bring in about $850,000 a year. I'm getting about $600 of it, her $250, with zero debt. My mom works for the local government, earning around $100K a year. She is near retirement, though, and my dad, well, he's deceased. He was great with money and always taught me to save my money and invest. I have about $400,000 in index funds right now, and of course another $300 in an account for an emergency. My family knows that I'm good with money and that I have that account. My spoiled sister, we're going to call her Annie. Annie earns relatively low, about $65,000. Unfortunately, she's allowed herself to get into a fair amount of debt. She has $20,000 in consumer debt, $18,000 in medical debt, and I'd say $10 to $20K worth of personal loans. Interest made it go crazy. I'd prefer not to say what she does for work, but it's obviously not much to cover the loans. Growing up, my mom always gave more to Annie because she was not as capable or as smart as I am. Whether that was money, toys, electronics she lost or broke, even her MacBook, my mom would provide more to her because she wasn't responsible. When I was in high school, she would make me pay for my own school trips because she said she could not afford it, but would pay for anything Annie wanted to do. As a result, Annie has never been as independent as I have. For the entirety of her whole life, she's been relying on me and Mom a whole bunch. She lives a lavish lifestyle. She takes expensive fitness classes, and it's on a regular basis. She has a closet full of all these Lululemons and continues to purchase from there. She gets her nails done on the regular and even gets massages to go with it. She spends a lot of her weekend out with friends, including brunch and dinner. She traveled multiple times, cross-country and to the Caribbean. One of our mutual friends even told me they were planning a trip to Korea and claimed that Annie had already bought her tickets. My family is image-oriented and loves showing off to friends and relatives whenever they get a chance. I always follow a practical, realistic approach when making decisions, whereas my family places a high value on external impressions, giving more importance to how things look rather than the underlying reality of genuine qualities. So here's where the issue starts, guys. Annie's birthday was in January, and she announced that she was engaged to her longtime boyfriend. She's always been anti-marriage because, marriage is patriarchal. She's that type of person and always claimed that she'd never get married. Despite this, she proposed to him because, he's rich, and he said yes. I don't like Anderson. I think he's a very insecure man inside, and to compensate for the way that he tries to act extra strong and aggressive on the outside. He has insulted me and my wife on many occasions, and I also think he's extremely short-tempered, jealous, and vindictive. He always finds faults with people who are more successful than them and insults those who make less money than he does. Now, it was time for Annie's wedding, and she had plans to go all out for it, which I would not care about it if she could not afford it, but instead, she had become a greedy bridezilla, asking anyone and everyone for cash. November of last year. Anderson, he landed himself in the emergency room. He slipped on some stairs, ended up with a broken arm and needed surgery. He didn't have any insurance at the time, so they had to use more than half of their wedding budget to settle the bill. Annie called me up, said she wanted help for her dream wedding, and asked me if I could loan her $250,000 because, well, they needed to start booking things for the wedding, including welcome party, rehearsal dinners, departing brunch, hotel rooms, and travel, of course, for close family. She said she could get the money eventually if she saved every month, but they needed it at the very moment, so she had no choice. She sent me a spreadsheet of the things that she was going to need. I gave her a firm, no. But she's been asking me nonstop to give her the loan as a wedding gift because as her only sibling, I needed to step up and help pay since our mom only gave her $10,000. Her reasoning is that I could easily afford to gift her a loan, and I even gifted my cousin a honeymoon vacation as a wedding gift last year. So why couldn't I do something similar for my only sibling? She's right in the sense that I could easily afford to pay for her wedding. But in all honesty, I don't want to give her anything. I told her my reasoning and that I don't want to financially support someone who feels entitled to it. She said she just needs me to give her the $200,000 since I'm rich. I told her I'm not giving her squat. She cried and said it isn't fair, I get whatever I want. When she realized I wasn't going to budge, she broke down about how selfish and cold-hearted I am. I told her that I was not going to be bullied into giving her my money. Now, Annie had been going around telling close family members that I was extremely selfish and immature. Apparently, she had already put down deposits on a lot of services and high-end vendors for her plans and just expected me to pay for them. But now, she had no way of paying them and she can't get her deposit back either. My cousin, who's usually neutral, said I should forgive her since she's stressed from crippling debt. Initially, Mom agreed that Annie should be paying for it herself. She didn't want one before, so I'm not paying for the entire thing now. I want to retire soon. That's what she told me. Now, Annie somehow convinced her, and Mom sent me a text saying that she had gone with Annie and Anderson to look at the venue. When I asked if she put down a deposit to hold the date, she said, "We don't have the money together just yet." And I asked her, what we did she mean? She said, "Your sister and me?" I asked her if she was planning on financing Annie's wedding, and she said, I'm helping her out. She's not as independent as you are, and she needs our help so she doesn't lose the little money she already has. Besides, we want the wedding to be the talk of the town, something everybody will remember. I just want the best for her and for everyone to see how successful and wealthy our family is. She had already given her $10,000 using money saved years ago for her and her dad to travel to Europe. The most they ever traveled was to Canada before they had children. This really irked me. My mom has been saying to travel, not pay for Annie's wedding, and now to top it off, she said that she's planning to get a personal loan of $250,000 in her own name, because Annie already has a lot of existing debt. Annie accepted and told me it was so great that Mom was helping. I tried really hard to tell them that getting a huge loan for a wedding is a really bad idea and it's risky. That unless they made a boatload of money or had a lot saved up, and that's a crazy amount to spend. But my mom was like, some people want a huge, lavish wedding, and if they can figure out how to afford it, then why not? Anyways, your aunt spent $130,000 on her wedding. Yeah, sure, I think that's a lot. And they aren't rich either. So that was probably years of saving, but it made them happy, so hey, why not? I don't understand how an ostentatious East Coast wedding is so casual and normal for many. A lot of people, including my own friends living in New York, Boston, DC, Miami, normalize these very high budgets. It starts to feel like monopoly money at certain points. When I brought up my frustration to Annie, she said, "Is it a lot of money?" Yes. Do I sometimes stress about wanting such a huge wedding? Yes. But it's also a once-in-a-lifetime event, and this might be the only time we both will have all our family and friends together in one place to celebrate and make memories. That experience to me is worth the money. I definitely can do the wedding cheaper, but I want to spoil our guests since they're traveling far to celebrate with us. For context, Anderson's German, and all of our loved ones are spread out from Canada and Australia to the UK, even Germany. She told me that she already had a conversation with Anderson about the budget and their future financial goals before committing to this big budget wedding. And they both agreed that they value experiences and memories over money. She said that Anderson could manage the repayments and he would clear the loan at the earliest. However, I always knew that her extravagant wedding plans were a disaster waiting to happen. My mom has a good credit score, around 700. So her loan was approved, and she owns her house, so it was kept as collateral. It was a gorgeous wedding, I'd say about 300 guests, with full splurges and over-the-top additions. Okay, here is an approximate cost breakdown of the wedding according to Annie's spreadsheet. Are you ready for this? Attire. $7,500. That's right, $7,500 for attire. Cake, $2,500. Venue, furniture, food, and alcohol. Ground-shattering, $127,000 and change. Decor and flower, flowers flown in from mainland China 10 hours before the wedding, of course, $10,000. Live music for happy hour, $2,000. Late night DJ, $3,000. Officiant, $500. 5 Lamborghini rentals. Aventador Roadster, $12,000. Guest travel, accommodation, a day of transport for the wedding party, close family, $24,000. Gift bags, of course, for all guests because it's very necessary. Yeah, right. $5,000. Valet, $1,500. Photography, $8,000 with the videographer. Photo booth, $1,000. Beauty service, $1,000. Bridesmaid party, $5,000. Welcome party, $15,000. Rehearsal dinner, $15,000. Oh, and you can't forget the departing brunch, $8,000. Yeah. 3 months into the marriage, Annie's fairy tale crumbled. Their relationship ended with Anderson filing for divorce 3 months in. According to him, her behavior had been unacceptable and the warning signs were there prior to the marriage, but living with these issues daily had mentally drained him. Things changed for him when they had their first argument. Marriage, of course, and she twice said that she should have married his younger brother, and then went on to say that she married the wrong brother and that his brother is a better husband in general. Throughout the 3 months, there had been constant arguments. No matter what he did, she would still find a reason to complain. Being worried, I called her, but she was like, "What do you care anyways?" She told me that she wants to limit her interactions with me and Mom because we only add stress to her life. She's almost seeming to regress into an attention-starved teenager, constantly posting on Facebook with outfits and wearing clothes as a college girl might at a single bar. Mom called me a few days later crying that she had been receiving calls from the bank because she did not cure the default according to the loan agreement. Annie isn't paying up. Mom has received a 90-day pre-foreclosure notice, and if the monthly payments are not made within 90 days, the bank will initiate legal proceedings to obtain a court order, allowing them to seize the collateral. Mom's really worried because the house is ancestral and is very sentimental. I told her that this is 100% why you should never sign unless you can afford to pay in case the borrower doesn't. She went on to tell me that I needed to work on how I would be, quote, helping her repay the $250,000. She claims that it's not a lot of money for me. And I, quote, need to give away money to get money. Good things will happen if I help someone in need, and I'm the responsible one in the family, etc. Well, I had expected this. I figured that she would text me, ask me to loan her a few thousand, and just promise to pay it back when she could figure things out. I was absolutely willing to pitch in a few thousand, and I was not, however, expecting her to demand I give her all the money. I said, "I'm sorry, Mom. I know this is stressful for you, but you signed the loan. I did not. Signing for Annie was a terrible idea, like I already warned you about, because those debts are yours now. You're in deep trouble." She replied with, "You can't look at this coldly. As if this isn't any of your business, this is your mother. She needs at least $150 from me to pay off part of the loan so that her payment will stop ballooning up." I don't know her exact details of this, so don't quote me on it. And for the record, my mom has not even asked for an amount this much. Maybe like $300 or $400 in the past. I don't want to contribute to it because number one, She got the loans despite me telling her multiple times not to. Number 2, I can't imagine spending more than a quarter of my yearly salary on a wedding, even if I can't afford it. My own wedding cost only $80,000. Number 3, even today, Annie lives a lifestyle way out of her means and doesn't have any intentions on stopping. Number 4, any money given towards the debt right now just greatly increases the risk of this stalemate continuing indefinitely. So I told her that this is between her and Annie, and she needs to address it with Annie, and I don't want to get involved. She vowed that if I repay this debt, she'll never ask for a single cent again. She said that I should pay back for all the things, like giving birth, a roof over my head, food, clothes, piano lessons, swimming lessons, you name it. And the loan amount's only a fraction of what you owe me, and so on and so forth. I've never once asked for money since turning 17. I moved out of the house at 18 for my education and paid for my own housing and tuition through working and scholarships. I've been financially independent and have lived on my own, away from my family for nearly all my adult life. I told her that food, clothing, and shelter were the very minimum. It's what she signed up for when she chose to become a parent. I didn't ask for any of it. She responded by telling me that if it wasn't for her, I would not have the life that I have today. I said she was being ridiculous, and I hung up the phone. She just keeps calling me, asking for help to pay the loan, and she says things like, "I did the most for this family, but you all just hate me. No one will know if I die on the street." I really don't want to give her any money to pay the debt. I don't know what to do because I want to help my mom, but I also feel like I'm being used. I just worry she'll do something stupid to hurt herself. But she would not go to a therapist either. I tried confronting Annie, but she just shuts down and gets defensive. I told her that I'm definitely not going to pay if that's her plan, and I asked her, how could you make my mom pay for a loan that was fully spent on your wedding? She said that it's not her intention and that she would find a better paying job soon, which will allow her to start making the payments. Even after I tried talking to her, I'm still hearing stories about her going out for brunch and spa. It's very clear that she isn't serious about paying off her loans. We used to be very close, but now I just keep my distance. I'm very stressed because my mom can't afford the payments, and I think she only has about 5 digits in savings. I don't know. I feel terrible because I don't have the money to pay for it. I also love my mom and hate to see her in a situation like this, but I don't want to contribute to Annie's lifestyle. I'm not sure what can be done to help my mom. I'm considering how to best support her as an individual, but it'll just be that. And not tied up in this legal, interpersonal BS with Annie and her mooching mom. My mom owns jewelry and is now considering taking out a loan against it. What other options do we have here? My wife says that I should help my mom, but I think I'm in the right there. So I wanted to have other perspectives. I'm going to show this post to my wife. Thanks for reading, and I appreciate any guidance. Update number 1. First of all, thank you for the concern and comments in my first post. It was helpful to hear your perspective on the money, and it definitely changed my view on the whole situation. Annie did not mention a word about the debt, as if that had not happened at all. We thought, well, maybe she actually forgot about it because of her ongoing divorce, even though I find it highly unlikely. At least I personally could never forget about debt, and most definitely not a debt of $250,000. Mom said that Annie is almost impossible to reach, and I told her that I would contact her myself and demand answers, but she begged me not to, reasoning that a cordial relationship with Annie was her only chance of getting her to establish contact and pay off her own debts. Mom life has been one of constant sacrifice, and Annie is just exploiting the fact that Mom would do anything in her power to help her children advance in life. I just cannot believe that she would do something so disgustingly selfish to the woman who dedicated her whole life to ensuring her happiness. Mom is in a panic and absolutely cannot come up with the money. She sold her vacation days to her employer as a demonstration of good faith to the bank, but it's not enough. Her intermittently scrapping together enough funds to throw at the problem has only delayed the inevitable. She cannot afford even the most forgiving payment plan. She's agreed to speak to a financial advisor before she does anything with the jewelry. But that's just a suggestion from me because it's not actually a problem I can solve. I can't respond to every comment individually, so I'll answer some of the most common questions I've seen. My family are not religious and are white. It's not important to us at all to get married. We're New Yorkers, so it's not a thing to save money for your children's wedding. And with Annie being disinterested, my parents never saved. My wife is not a gold digger. We've been together since we were 20. She was with me when I was broke and had no income, and when I was 1,000 miles away for 3 years serving in the military as a medical professional, and when I had a mental breakdown, she was with me at my lowest point. And we're stuck with each other. So I'll have to pass on the divorce her comments. Also, some people seem very upset that I've chosen not to help my mom, to the point where I'm getting very redundant PMs about it. Let me be clear. I'm closing the door on this subject entirely and keeping my distance because my mom allowed Annie to be an entitled brat who has no idea of self-responsibility. I feel I should not be responsible for fixing their mess. That being said, I'm offering my mom whatever non-monetary support I can provide, such as searching for financial advisors, running errands, making phone calls, etc. Zero money. Update number 2. Hi everyone, I really appreciate the advice in my time of devastation from this mess. I'm back with another update. My mom had an appointment with a financial advisor yesterday, and I did not accompany her because I want to stay away from this as much as possible. He suggested that she communicates with the bank to discuss her situation, as some lenders may be willing to negotiate temporary solutions, such as modified repayment plans, which by the way is not helpful. She also talked to a lawyer with experience in debt collection. There seems to be no legal protection she can take advantage of. Mom has liquidated whatever assets she has, but it isn't enough to repay the 3 months' payments. She continues to request me to repay her loan. She brings up the point that she brought me into this world and took care of me. For that reason, I will always owe her. While I think that's a very valid point, I have my reasons for why I refuse to give her money. While I agree she has always taken care of me, so has my dad, and he had never done anything like this. I miss him a lot. I wish he was with me through all this because he passed away when I was in my 3rd year of medical school, and it literally messed me up so badly back then. He was a stand-up guy who always cared for me about how others felt than himself. He taught me about morals and treating everybody with respect. I still struggle sometimes to fully realize that, well, he's gone and he's not coming back. It hits me at the most random of times, and I think he would be proud of the person I've become today. I don't really like bringing up to anyone in my life these days because he died so long ago, and I don't want to make people uncomfortable. Plus, everyone has their own problems, but damn, I miss him. I think the grief changes throughout time, but I don't think it'll ever really go away. Update number 3. Thank you so much for all the kind words and constructive advice. It really helps clear my head when talking with my mom. She stopped asking me for money now, and we're trying to think of a plan for her to pay the rest of the debt. My best friend called me today in the morning and told me that Annie's divorce was put up in today's local newspaper, probably because it occurred shortly after the marriage. I tried calling her, but her phone was unreachable, and I bought the newspaper. Apparently, she wanted alimony, even though the law did not really call for it in the situation. My wife suggested that my mom take care of our domestic work part-time if I pitch in $5,000 or something like that. I felt uncomfortable bringing that up to my mom, but I didn't know what else to do. The whole situation was causing me anxiety. Anyways, I texted her basically saying what I just wrote, and she replied absolutely not. So I called her to ask why she was so against this arrangement, which I think benefits the both of us. She gets to pay off the outstanding loan amount, and we have a housekeeper we trust. Of course, not every day and without notice, but at least twice a week for 2 hours for 2 months. She would basically be the replacement for our current housekeeper, and she said that we were manipulating her into doing unpaid labor for us and forcing her to say yes. So I told her that I was very sorry, but if she did not accept, then we could not pay her anything. Edit. Thanks to everyone for your helpful comments. I'll be compiling everything and showing it to my mom over the weekend so that we can discuss her options. I'm also going to take her out to dinner. It's not much, but she really needs something resembling a break. Update number 4. Mom tried to reach Annie repeatedly via phone, text, and emails, but she never responded. Mom already has high blood pressure and a general assortment of related health issues, and the stress of her job, coupled with Annie's selfishness, is slowly killing her. With no vacation time, she's just going to deteriorate further, and I cannot stand seeing her look so exhausted, old, and beaten down anymore. I finally snapped last evening and texted Annie an innocuous enough message, and I said, "Do you know what's going on? Mom's really upset about something but won't tell me what." She responded literally within 30 seconds with the following: "I haven't talked to Mom in a long time, sorry." Not even the slightest pretense of concern, so duck her. I showed Mom the text and convinced her that Annie is doing this intentionally because she feels like she can get away with it, and that she is the problem here and she's taking advantage of both her and me, while she gets to go live the high life. The text made her mad even more, and I felt really bad for her. Annie's identity is wrapped up in having stuff. Ruining her reputation is the best punishment I can think of, and Annie may not actually care about her own mother, but she certainly doesn't want all her fancy friends, acquaintances, and co-workers to find out that she's literally killing her own mom. With a little bit of good old-fashioned Facebook and LinkedIn stalking, I acquired the power to socially and professionally destroy her. Forever? Well, at least in New York City. Anyone who doesn't know about the debt, family, friends, and others were told, for one thing, so they don't get roped into the same situation with Mom did with her. This was devastating for her, so she sent me a text that said, "Call me when you get a chance." Well, I called her up and she agreed to meet us. It's hard to accept it, but my sister is vile, narcissistic, and, well, a tremendous entitlement complex. She's apparently decided that she doesn't need to pay for her wedding so long as she has someone to take the fall. She didn't get a better job because she believed she deserved a position in New York and refused to so much as glance at postings for jobs in another city. So she refuses to pay anything to Mom and ignores that loans even exist, thinking it'll just go away. Blows up at Mom when she tries to bring up the seriousness to her, and since Annie obviously doesn't give a crap if our mom has a heart attack and loses her house, there's no point in trusting that she'll ever start to pay her own debts voluntarily. So I got her into a position to pay her own damn debt and not cause this much distress to Mom. I told Mom that I will help her with the repayment, along with the fine and interest, and if I get X amount of Annie's inheritance, equal to whatever I contribute to the loan. See, my mom's house is this huge 4-bedroom. It's 2.5 bath with an unfinished basement and garage and a large shed. Basically, it's a lot of space that we need, I'd say even more than double of our current square footage, and it's quite a large yard for the area. The plan I presented was that once the loan was cleared, I would keep the entire house along with the liquidated cash and nothing would be left for Annie. When I said, let's draft the contract after an examination by a financial advisor and a will executor, Annie objected, as expected. I knew that Annie was nearly guaranteed to fight it, and she said that I was being unreasonable by saying that I wanted her share of the inheritance. So I yelled at her about how if she had not spent her entire life living in luxury, she would not be in this position. By the end of the argument, she agreed that she would make the payments if she got her fair share of inheritance. She got huffy with me and walked off, leaving shortly after. Soon she paid off the outstanding amount that had accumulated up to the point using her savings. The default was resolved and Mom retained ownership of the house. And there's no transfer of ownership through foreclosure. Annie hasn't been the most kind throughout this process and has been calling me awful names, especially because I've been a big mouth, apparently, to her friends about the entire situation. The money she gets from her second job allows her to cover the monthly loan amounts. She moved into a cheap apartment out of the city. She completely stopped going out to eat and party, and she's using public transport. She stopped buying anything but cheap food and necessities. No vacations, no spa, No more of my sister's spoiled lifestyle. Well, I just want to know what you guys would have done in this position if you were the mother. I can imagine being in the mom's position, but at the same time, she was warned repeatedly by her son, do not help Annie out. You're not going to see this money again. And it turned out to be true, but I want to know what you guys thought of it, what you would have done differently, so go ahead, drop your opinions down below in the comment section. My name's Mr. Reddito if you guys are new to the channel, and I want to thank you for joining me on today's video. And if you want more daily videos of the same type of drama stories, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, have a great day, thanks again, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.